Hi everyone, welcome to Rachel Pichler Yoga. If we haven't met before, my name is Rachel. Today we're doing a nice full body flexibility practice, so find just a little bit of space to move and let's get started. So let's begin today in tabletop. So coming over onto our hands and knees. And then spread your fingertips nice and wide, and let's just kind of rock our body forwards and backwards. Just bringing the shoulders towards the fingertips and then back, and just be nice and gentle on the wrists. And this might be a very small movement, or it might be bigger, depending on how far your wrists are gonna let you go. Your shoulders might come past your fingertips, just keeping your palms connected to your mat. And let's do one more rock forwards, and let's just come back to a neutral place for a second. And if you want to take a counter stretch, you can take your one hand, maybe let your palm face up. And you can switch sides. Just a gentle warm up for the wrists. And then coming back onto your hands in your tabletop, reaching your right arm out in front, and then your left too. Keep your hips high, start to melt your chest down. You can keep spreading your fingertips wide. Maybe your forehead can touch down. Maybe your chest can touch down in your puppy dog. Soften your shoulders. Just let your chest get nice and heavy. And allowing yourself here to settle into your practice. Let your heart melt down towards your mat. Let gravity pull your chest. And with an inhale, slowly lift up. Walk your hands back in underneath your shoulders. Maybe take a little shoulder roll, even a hip rock side to side. And then we will be sending our left leg out to the side. So see if you can point your toes forwards a little bit. Bringing your leg kind of in line with your hip as best you can. You might have to lift up, look at it, make sure your foot and your hip are kind of in the same line. You can stay on your hands. You can drop down onto your forearms. And if you want, you could also walk your hands over towards your foot. Maybe you can actually grab your foot. Or just drop your right shoulder down. Rest your cheek, rest your heads. And feel the love maybe through the leg, the shoulder, your back. And stay for another breath before you start to move and lift back up. But when you are ready, you can come back into your tabletop, bringing your left leg in, maybe giving your hips a bit of a rock side to side, even the shoulders. Your right leg can start to extend out long, maybe lifting up again just to make sure your leg is kind of in a nice straight line with your left hip. Point your toes forwards as best you can to add a little ankle stretch there. Your hands can come down. You can stay here, lift it up. You can come onto your forearms. You can stay here too. Feel the stretch through your leg. Or you can try to walk your hands over towards your foot. And you don't have to grab it. But maybe you can lay your shoulder, your left shoulder all the way down. Get a stretch there. Take another breath before you start to move. And then find your way slowly back into tabletop. Bring your knees in. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Spread your fingertips wide. Maybe rock it out a little bit, side to side. You can keep your fingers pointing forwards again, or you can point your fingers towards your knees. But spread your fingertips wide. Stretching our wrists again. Keeping your palms connected to your mat. If it feels good to add that rock forwards and back, you can add it in. If your fingers are pointing towards your knees, you're going to feel this a whole lot more. Maybe so your rock might not be very big, or there might be no rock or movement at all. Just be gentle. Whatever feels good on your wrists, on your forearms, do that. When you're done here, do one more rock, but just kind of end with your shoulders somewhat over top of your wrists so that you can turn your fingers to point back forwards first, and then take your counter stretch. Let your palm face up. You could do one hand or you could do both hands. I like to spread my fingertips wide here. Awesome work, you guys. We're going to be sitting down next, but feel free to sneak in some wrist circles if you'd like. We're going to find a cross-legged seated position first, and then we are going to find double pigeon from here. So if you can take one of your feet and rest it on top of your knee, we're going to try and stack our lower legs on top of one another for double pigeon. Point your toes forwards, kind of flex those feet. You can lean back, lift this knee as high as it needs to so that you feel supported, you feel good. You can also tip forwards. Keep pointing your toes forwards. Let your chest fall forwards, feeling the hips, the legs in this double pigeon. Maybe relaxing your arms. Just letting your chest fall as far as it wants to. If you're tipping forwards, let's use an inhale to slowly come back up. You can uncross your legs, cross them the other way. Feel free to take a longer break before switching sides, but just trying to stack our lower legs on top of one another, your foot on your knee on your foot, leaning back, lifting the knee higher. Point those toes forwards though, and maybe tipping forwards as well. Feel those legs, those glutes, those hips. Soften your shoulders. Breathe. If you're folding, let an inhale lift you back up. You can uncross your legs, give your knees a hug, a rock side to side maybe. And we'll be sending our legs out long. And I want you to bring your feet maybe mat width apart. So not wide, not all the way together, but somewhere in between. So maybe mat width apart. You can point your toes up. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. But we're going to fold forward. So with an inhale, lengthen through your spine. And then as you exhale, maybe you can walk your hands between your feet, down away from you, and come into more of a forward fold. But just keep pointing your toes up. Lift your chest, lengthen your spine as you inhale. And then as you exhale, maybe fold a little further. Soften your shoulders. Maybe your arms can rest on the floor between your legs. Maybe you're lifted up even higher than that. Just point your toes up. Feel the length through the legs. Enjoy the stretch. Nice job, you guys. So we're gonna use an inhale to come back up for a moment. We're gonna keep our legs where they are. You can bend your knees, you can have your legs straight. We're just gonna turn our chest kind of in line with our left foot. So just over to the left a little bit. And then maybe you can walk your hands back down towards the left foot. Keep pointing both of your toes of your feet up, flexing the feet. Maybe your right hand can come to the outside of the left leg, and you can turn your chest a little more. Twist, flex those feet. Drop your chest as much as you'd like. Your left hand might be past the left hip. Your right hand might be past the left foot. Push into your fingertips to open the chest to the left. And then if you're twisting, just turn your chest back forwards so that it's facing your foot again. Maybe drop it down a little more. And then use an inhale to rise back up. Turn your chest to the right foot. Walk your hands down your leg a little. Keep flexing your feet. Wake up the legs here. Lengthen the legs, even if you've got a bend in the knee. Maybe your left hand comes to the outside of that right foot. Maybe you twist more here. Keep pointing your toes up. Walk your hands out wide so that you feel supported. Drop your chest as much as you'd like. This feels good. Maybe turning that chest towards the right. If you are twisting, just slowly bring your chest back so that you're facing your right leg or foot. Fold forwards a little more maybe. And then use an inhale to lift back up. Come back through center. Bend your knees, plant your feet, lean back with your thumbs pointing out to the edges of your mat. Take an inhale, lift your chest. Pull your shoulders back, maybe lift your chin. Stay for an inhale. And with the exhale, relax your chest, your chin down, lean forwards, hug your knees. Maybe a rock, side to side. We're going to be laying down on our backs. You might roll one vertebrae at a time. You might hug your knees in and roll all the way down onto your back. If you want to pull your knees in towards your chest once you lay down, you can do that too. But feel free to add a nice rock side to side. And you might Keep your knees bent, hug your knees towards your chest. You might find some length through your legs. Lift your hips, maybe your feet come to the mat or the floor above your head. Like you're in a reclined forward fold. Or you might actually open your feet mat width apart. Maybe finding some more length through the legs. Maybe holding onto your feet. Or bringing your hands to your low back. This can be plow pose. If you bring your feet to the floor, lift your low back higher. This can be a reclined forward fold. If you kind of come halfway and focus on lengthening the legs. Awesome work, you guys. The low back is lifted. Slowly, slowly start to bring it down. And just take a second with your legs floating, whether your legs are straight or bent, but your low back connecting to your mat. Maybe hanging on to the back of your legs or resting your arms at your sides or your hands on your tummy. If it feels good. To add some ankle circles, you can add some ankle circles. And if your feet are still lifted, slowly place them down on your mat. Rock your knees side to side and make this rock bigger. Get your hips involved. When your knees rock to the left, lift your right hip up. When they rock to the right, lift your left hip up. And when they come through center, connect both of your hips down. Kind of give that low back a massage. Loosen up the low back. Keeping your feet planted, or maybe you're going to pull your knees back towards your chest and do the same rocks. Maybe you're able to lift your right hip when you rock to the left. Lift your left hip when you rock to the right. And connect both hips when you come through center. And maybe your rock side to side isn't quite that big that the hips lift and lower. Just massage your low back. Slowing down any movement that you are still doing. Finding center with both hips connected to your mat. Closing your eyes. Feel the entire length of your spine touching the ground. If you're still hugging your knees, you might let them go. Bring your feet down to your mat. One at a time, you might send your legs out long, your feet out wide. Maybe reach your arms above your head. Take a big stretch. Bringing your arms back to your sides or resting your hands on your tummy. But settling into Shavasana. Letting everything else go. And staying here for as long as you have time for today. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. And until next time, namaste.